You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Hi, this is Teka Teka. You're about to hear from another production powered by Puma Podcast called Kasama sa Pagbabago, a show about young leaders who changed their communities for the better. In this fourth episode of the series, the show's hosts look beyond Sangguniang Kabataan and explore other ways for young people to participate in public policy.
Sa amin kasi traffic yung problema. Like, may mga certain na kalsada na palaging clogged, tapos meron ding intersection na walang traffic enforcer. So, sana something na makakasolve ng problema na yon. How about you, Adriel?
Alam mo, speaking of kalsada, sa amin naman lagi siyang inaayos for some reason, kaya rin laging nagta-traffic, no? Pumapangalawa na kaya kami sa Manila sa buhol-buhol na traffic sa Cavite. Pero marami pang ibang problems, no? Gaya ng solid waste management, pati actually yung youth participation or yung engagement. Wala ka masyadong makikitang mga kabataan na nag-i-engage sa katipunan ng kabataan dito. Pero sa episode natin ngayon, makakarinig tayo mula sa mga actual na gumawa ng policies nila. At hindi sila mga sangguniang kabataan officials ha, kundi mga estudyante. I'm Adriel Nisperos, a development worker and a youth empowerment advocate.
And I'm Macy Joven, a journalist and an ordinary citizen who's part of the Katipunan ng Kabataan or the Youth Voters of a Barangay. And this is Season 2 of
Balangkas ng Bukas, Stories of Major Policy Reforms. Isang podcast ng Youth Leadership for Democracy o YouthLED, a project of the United States Agency for International Development and the Asia Foundation, powered by Puma Podcast.
In this podcast, we look at how we won the rights, freedoms, and privileges we have now. At babalikan natin ang lahat ng pinagdaanan natin para mabuo ang mga mahahalagang polisiyang nagbibigay ginhawa sa buhay nating mga Pilipino.
Titingnan natin kung paano nangyayari ang reforma at ang papel ng mga kabataan sa prosesong ito. In this season, we'll talk about the SK Reform Act of 2015 and what led to it, as well as the ways in which the youth can participate in public policy through initiatives like Project Citizen. So ito na nga, Macy. Familiar ka ba sa Project Citizen?
Familiar ako dahil do sa mga interviews natin dito and in our other podcast called Kasama sa Pagbabago, also by YouthLED and produced by Puma Podcast. Pero hindi ko siya na-experience firsthand.
Ako rin eh. Sayang nga eh. Walang ganun sa school ko dati. Kaya saktong-sakto yung episode natin ngayon. Kasi malalaman natin kung ano nga ba tong alternative way para makagawa ng policies para sa mga community natin. Marami tayong guest na nagbabahagi ng knowledge and experience nila sa topic na to. Kaya simulan na natin sa isang veteran educator na 30 years nang nagtuturo at isa sa mga naunang sumabak sa Project Citizen.
I'm Rowena Hibanada. I am the director of the Center for Transformative Education and Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center Philippines at the Philippine Normal University. I am the consultant for Project Citizen and Civica Hubs. Project Citizen started with a group of university professors from the University of Asia and the Pacific when they attended a partnership agreement with the Civic Education Center in California. And they've seen that the Project Citizen is a viable pedagogy to be used in the basic education. So, firstly, ang original nito ay sa Amerika nang galing. Ano? So, in the States, grade school students are trained to do Project Citizen. But when they came back to the Philippines, they started with the Philippine Center for Civic Education and started training the first batch of teachers in year 2000. At isa ako doon sa first teachers who were trained in 2006, 2007. So they gathered teachers in Metro Manila and started training teachers in Project Citizen as a co-curricular civic education initiative in order for the students to have more skills in critical thinking, in immersing in the government, no, local government procedures, and using the public policy towards solving issues in their communities. Then after a year, we had the first implementation among our students, and in that same school year, we had the first showcase. No, in the showcase, the students are given the opportunity to share with others on the policies that they have created and that they have presented to their local government, no, even in barangay or in the city, and sometimes to some senators. So it is a way of looking at the problems in the community and what solutions can the students bring on the table, and have a dialogue with the local officials as well.
Right. And saan-saang areas po in the Philippines?
Different areas, no, basically Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, were able to train teachers during those years. And I think that was really golden era of Project Citizen kasi even the SK that time were trained to do Project Citizen as well. It was pioneered by the Philippine Center for Civic Education, but in the year 2013, it stopped. No, and so we were happy that about 2 years ago, we're called again by the youth led to start working and in the enhancing of the teacher's guide of Project Citizen, so that it will be more relevant to the certain situations that we have post-pandemic, and to increase the viability of doing Project Citizen in the curricular programs, no, specifically in social studies as a forefront, and maybe values education and other courses or other subjects as well. Noon, ginagawa ito co-curricular, ibig sabihin hindi siya bahagi ng curriculum. So pag sinabi natin siyang co-curricular, ito ay additional activity ng students. So ang maaring sumasali dito ay mga student leaders sa pamamagitan ng school government organization, at tinitingnan nila ano yung mga pwede nilang makitang problema sa komunidad para makatulong sila, no, in partnership with their local government. Ngayon, sinubukan namin na ipasok to as a curricular activity. Ibig sabihin, hinahanapin natin siya ng entry point sa lesson or sa tinatawag na curriculum guide. Makaka-relate ang mga teachers dito dahil yung curriculum guide na ibinigay ng DepEd ay very rich, no, sa civic education. So ang ginagawa namin, tinitrain namin yung teachers na makita yung entry points kung saan ang mga steps ng Project Citizen ay maaari nilang gamitin na hanggang sa huli ay makagawa sila ng policy solution. So tinignan na namin yan from grade 7 to senior high school subjects. No? At nang sa gayon, yung laboratory ng mga bata, no, naka-immerse sila sa community. Mas naiintindihan nila ang kanilang komunidad. Mas nakikilala nila ang kanilang mga leader. So nakikita ng mga estudyante na hindi pala memorization lang ang araling panlipunan. Hindi pala kami magme-memorize lang kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng demokrasya.
So how exactly is Project Citizen implemented? May 12 steps na involved, kung saan ang first 6 ay parang steps na rin sa paggawa ng research study. Kasama dyan ang pagtukoy sa problema at pag-gather ng data. You can check the full list on YouthLed's website sa youthledph.org. For steps 7 to 12, we'll let Ma'am Awi explain.
And then step 7, of course, looking at the different policies and trying to write a policy solution. Dito pwedeng mag-invite ng mga law student bilang mga mentor. So may mga law students kaming mga mini-mentor, at the same time sila din na-expose doon sa estudyante. So, peer mentoring body system in crafting a policy solution. For step 8, it's all about developing the action plan. Paano namin sasabihin sa mga stakeholders, sa government officials, itong policy solution namin? No, ano yung mga hakbang para malabi namin, no? Elevator pitch ba gagamitin namin? Paano kami makakapunta sa opisina ni mayor, sa opisina ni barangay chairman or chairperson? Paano namin ito mai-schedule sa sanggunian, no? Sa isang meeting at makakuha ng audience. And then, step 9 is to develop the portfolio kasi may visual aid dapat ito. So, para maganda. So, unang tingin pa lang, hindi pa nagsasalita yung mga estudyante, ito na po. No? So, showcase nila yon at ipinapakita nila yon. It can be a digital portfolio or kami ginagamit namin ay physical portfolio. And then sa step 10, presenting the portfolio. It can be a school showcase. It can be presenting to the mayor or the principal. It can be in the class only. At masaya to kasi nakaka-excite na magsalita for 20 minutes, di ba? Tapos may question and answer. So normally, nag-i-invite kami ng mga counselors, no, government officials na nakikinig sa mga bata. Step 11 is all about reflecting on the experience. Siyempre, no, sabi ni Paulo Freire, pag puro action lang, ay, hindi yan pwede kasi activism lang yan. Pero kapag ka naman puro kasalita, verbalism yan. Pero dapat nagre-reflect ka. So, theory plus action plus reflection is all about praxis. So, para malaman mo kung anong danas ng estudyante, no? And then, lastly is reflecting about participating in the democracy. We want our students to really dig deeper into their role, in their respective role as young people living in a democratic country. So marami ditong aha moment at sa bagay lahat naman ng steps paborito ko. So hindi yan mabubuo pag wala yung 12 steps.
Youth-led at DepEd Schools Division Office ang currently sumusuporta sa pag-implement ng Project Citizen o PC. Pero sa isang lungsod sa Mindanao, napamangha ang local government sa innovative approach ng Project Citizen and they decided to support the implementation. Ito ang kwento ng isang teacher mula sa Dapitan City.
Ako si Florence Santiago Galiemit. Ako po ay Education Program Supervisor in Araling Panlipunan dito po sa Schools Division of Dapitan City. Narito po kami sa western part of Mindanao, Zamboanga del Norte, yung probinsya namin, Region 9. The Special Education Fund is a budgetary allocation derived from a percentage of the local property taxes collected by the city government. This fund is earmarked specifically for the improvement and development of public education within the city. The SEF is usually supporting various educational programs, projects, and activities such as school maintenance, construction of facilities, procurement of educational materials, salaries for local school board teachers, and funding initiatives like Project Citizen that aim to enhance the quality of education and promote values such as citizenship and civic responsibility.
Ayan, na-mention niyo po na na-fund yung Project Citizen, no? Bago po tayo dumako doon, paano po ba yung naging proseso kung paano siya napasama sa Special Education Fund ng Dapitan City LGU?
So, it started when we introduced PC dito sa DepEd Dapitan City after we attended the training with the PC trainers and youth-led personnel sa NCR. And then, pag-uwi namin dito, so we opt to have a webinar for all Araling Panlipunan teachers, especially secondary teachers, para ma-open na sa kanila yung idea ng Project Citizen. And it so happened na naimbitahan namin yung School Governance and Operations Division Chief Education Supervisor namin na si Mr. Sherlito Sagapsapan sa webinar na iyon. And unknowingly, nakikinig pala siya from the very start ng module 1 or yung ng 1 hanggang 12 ng mga topics ng PC na ni-introduce namin sa webinar. Tapos, he commented there na, Uy, Florence, ang galing nito magandang avenue ito para masimulan natin yung good leadership and governance ng mga kabataan dito sa Dapitan. Dapat sana nga yung lahat ng mga kabataang barangay ng Dapitan or kahit saan man daw sa Pilipinas ay dapat nakapag-PC. Tapos, that was 2022, no? So, pagka December ng 2022, sinabihan niya ako na, Florence, gumawa ka ng proposal for Project Citizen, baka mailabi natin for SEF. And so I made a proposal to conduct a training for teachers using the SEF fund. Every subject is given 100,000 dito sa city namin. So that will be part of my budget sa Araling Panlipunan. So 100,000 yun, pero parang kukurot lang tayo ng konti para sa Project Citizen. And so we were able to conduct capacity building for teachers in conducting or facilitating PC in their class and to create projects related to PC. Pero medyo natagalan kami sa bidding noong 2023 kaya February 2024 na namin siya na-conduct.
Matapos ang capacity building for teachers, ang next na target naman ay isang summit, kung saan around 14 schools mula Dapitan ang inaasahang mag-present ng Project Citizen proposals nila sa City Council personalities. Bago yan, dapat ay nakapag-present muna sila sa barangay level dahil ang target ay city-level adoption ng policies.
So, for the summit, ang gagamitin na natin na budget is yung 2024 na allocation ng Araling Panlipunan / Project Citizen. And so we were given about 31,000 by the local government po ng Dapitan for the summit. Basically for some snacks lang. Tapos yung mga papremyo namin sa mga bata, kung sino mga best presenter, yung mga top 3, yung mga best speakers, mga ganun, best projects. May mga nakalaan na rin po kaming mga kategorya kung saan pwede namin gamitin yung 31,000 na yun para pa-premyo po sa iba't ibang grupo ng mga mag-aaral na mag-present ng kanilang Project Citizen this year.
Siguro po gusto ko din pong malaman is yung kung gagayahin or i-replicate siya ng ibang mga ano po, ng mga schools 'no, kung ilalabi din nila 'tong fund na 'to, na magkaroon ng ganitong fund sa kanilang mga local government units. Ano po ba yung parang proseso na puwede nilang gawin?
I think they have to sell it well first to the authorities in DepEd because sila naman yung magsisell ng Project Citizen sa SEF ng local government. So I think yung support naman is madali mo siyang makuha pag makita din ng mga authorities natin na sincere tayo sa pag-pursue natin ng paggawa ng Project Citizen at kung makita nila yung beauty ng Project Citizen para sa mga kabataan, I think naman hindi nila hihindian to kasi napakaganda ng plataforma ng Project Citizen para mag-create ng mga makabagong leaders na transformative at talagang may alam sa governance. Eventually, they will become the leaders in our society and gustong-gusto kong makita yung mga kabataan dito sa Dapitan na concern sa aming bayan na gusto nilang palaging ipapanatili yung katahimikan ng aming lugar, yung magandang pamamahala at kung pwede i-empower pa nila lalo yung mga kabataan na kasama nila para lahat-lahat sama-samang mag-progress.
Challenging man na maglaan ng financial resources para sa Project Citizen, hindi naman nauubusan ng magagandang ideas for policy at ng mga taong magsusulong nito. Gaya na lamang ng mga kaibigan natin from Bohol na nagbahagi sa atin ng kanilang kwento.
Ako po pala si Ma'am Geraldine Ceduron, Master Teacher 1 ng Manga National High School dito sa Tagbilaran City, Bohol. At ako ay nagtuturo sa grade 9 ng Economics class ko at saka sa grade 12 Philippine Politics and Governance. Nang na-promote po ako as master teacher sa Manga National High School, I started adapted Project Citizen year 2021-2022 after my seminar training in Manila with Doc Awe and the core team in Paranaque.
So, may 12 steps po ang enhanced Project Citizen natin, 'di ba po? So base po dun sa experience niyo po, parang paano niyo po ginabayan yung mga students niyo through each step? Like kayo po ba yung, main na nagko-connect, kumakausap sa LGU muna bago yung mga students? Paano po yung naging dynamics niyo nung parang teamwork niyo po between you and your students po?
Sa akin, I serve as the facilitator only in the conduct of the Project Citizen. But the entire conduct of the study, they are the ones who made it. So they were able to discuss, to work together, to find problems in their community. Bohol is a tourist destination. So mahal ang presyo ng bilihin namin dito. To focus particular is presyo ng mga isda dito sa amin sa Bohol. Not only in Tagbilaran but the entire province of Bohol. May problema po kami paano kontrolin ang presyo ng mga bilihin, particularly sa isda. So they decided that problem. At ang title po ay Presyo ng Isda sa Merkado, Bantay Sarado. And with that, they conducted a comparative study of the public markets in Bohol.
Sa paggawa ng comparative study, tiningnan ng mga estudyante ang presyo ng isda sa iba't ibang palengke sa Tagbilaran. Nag-survey din sila kung paano nakakaapekto sa mga residente ang mga presyong ito. Kasama rin sa Project Citizen na to ang pag-check sa existing barangay ordinances at kung saan kaya pwedeng i-improve ang mga to sa pag-address ng mataas na presyo ng bilihin. Ang isa sa mga participants ng Project Citizen na to ay anak ng mangingisda, kaya naman malapit sa puso niya ang issue na to.
Hello po, I am Christine Hart Pandan. I am 16 years old. I am about to enter the senior high school grade level po pursuing STEM this year. During the Project Citizen, I was a grade 9 student at Manga National High School. At first po, Ma'am Doron oriented us all about Project Citizen, and then our class gathered po, we brainstormed, since we came from different barangays, we were able to gather a lot of ideas po kung ano ang pipiliin naming problema. And at the end po, we settled on the price control of the fishes in Manga Public Market since it's near our school and it's accessible po. Tapos, ang topic din na ito is konektado sa aming araling panlipunang na lesson. So, that's what we chose po. We consulted po the barangay official, and then they said na they have no control over the matter po, and the barangay only depends on the city's instructions, so they cannot easily control the prices. And then they said that the root of this problem po is the middleman who keeps on interfering the transactions of fishermen and the fish vendors po. Our proposed ordinance po has 18 sections. We derived this proposed policy po from our alternative policies. We took the advice of the barangay officials, the local residents of Manga po into our public policy. Our ordinance po mentions that the city mayor will create an official price placard po na i-distribute sa barangay market, and it also forbids the middleman from interfering the transaction of the fish vendor and the fisherman. And it also mentions the creation of the barangay price coordinating council, which will monitor the price of the fishes in our market and will bestow punishments upon violators po.
Dun sa pag-present nyo in front of the barangay officials, kumusta yung naging experience, tsaka kumusta yung feedback?
According to the kagawads of the barangay, mas mabuti pag ilabi sa city kasi wala po silang hold na gumawa ng ordinance sa barangay kasi sako po ang Manga District sa Tagbilaran City. So, ang gagawa ng ordinance po talaga ay ang councilors ng Tagbilaran City, and it's not in Manga. So, at least they were aware that Project Citizen, with the help of this, my students, they were still grade 9 during that time. Can you imagine grade 9 students creating a proposed policy? So, it was really a great challenge for them.
It was quite intimidating po, like they were higher ups and I am still a grade 9 student, and I thought na what if they won't consider our policy po kay we were still young. I have social anxiety po, so conversing with strangers makes me anxious, pero I was able to do it po. It was quite interesting po na gumawa ng isang policy na dapat beneficial sa lahat ng parties po. I also helped the members assigned in the portfolio in presenting the policy in the barangay officials, and although it was nerve-wracking po, I can see the progress in myself po in public speaking.
Good job ka dyan, Heart. Di lang policy making, pati public speaking. Ang dami mong na-unlock sa Project Citizen Experience. Next up, we'll hear from our friends from Tanawan City, Batangas.
I'm Miss Hazel Fernandez from Faith Colleges. So I'm teaching social studies subjects in arts from the region subject, community engagement, project citizen embedded in culminating activity. And also, I've taught discipline and ideas in the social sciences. I'm teaching both grade 11 and grade 12. Nag-start po akong turo ng Project Citizen 2 years ago after po ng PC training namin. Actually, when it was implemented in senior high school and in the previous 2 years, ang Project Citizen po ay tumatagal talaga ng one whole semester. Almost 5 months po yon. Kasi sobrang haba po talaga ng process, and alam naman po natin yung mga students, hindi lang yun yung subject na tinitake at that time. Kasi magvi-visit pa po sila ng community, mag-conduct ng interviews from local officials po dun sa barangay na na-assign po sa kanila.
Isa sa mga sumali sa community visits na ito ay si Carmela.
Hi po, I am Carmela Katapang, an incoming grade 11 student. I am a part of the Student Council of the Faith Catholic School, and I am the current Vice President. Actually, we presented our titles po, 3 titles yung chosen po na pinesent namin. We had the health issues experienced by children and the out-of-school youth of our chosen community, and the abnormal usage of e-cigarettes or vape and cigarettes in minors. And we landed with the out-of-school youth and children. Upon doing house-to-house interviews po with the barangay health officials, they were around 4 to even 17 years old. And those children po, even under the age of 4 or 5, they were working na rin po. We were shocked since at that age, di ba po, hindi dapat sila nag-work. They're supposed to study and play with their friends.
During your data gathering process, meron ka bang parang na-realize about the steps? Alin dun yung sa tingin mong parang hindi mo inakalang yun pala ay magandang way to gather data?
As for the step na pinaka-important po or sa PC when it comes to data gathering, it's definitely the community visits. Kasi dun nyo po talaga malalaman and makikita what the problem is. Hindi po enough yung pagsa-search sa Google or what out-of-school youth is or the numbers or what it is like to be an out-of-school youth. Since in those community visits po kasi, you would have to put yourself in their position or in their shoes. And dun pa lang po, makikita nyo kung or mararamdaman nyo what it's like to have their life as an out-of-school youth. And for us dun po, it wasn't just the information na nakuha namin sa pag-visit po. Nagkaroon po kami ng learning, we found a passion to change. If I'm going to choose one moment po siguro na pinakatumatak is yung nung pumunta po kami sa court nila doon and there were children na naglalaro basketball. A lot of them were parang payat, thin. And if we're going to ask what their age is, they're going to say na 7 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, but really they look like 4 years old only. Then when we went went to them na kinausap po sila, tinanong yung names nila. Ayun po, I could see that they were genuine sa pakikipag-usap po namin. We felt na these children don't deserve to work agad-agad.
With all these discoveries and learnings, ano kayang naisip ni Carmela na policy for Project Citizen?
We decided to go with the Sparky program. The long term for it is the Supporting Potential, Advancing Readiness and Knowledge of the Youth. This project aims to, support these children to study and both work at the same time. Yun nga po, hindi po natin sila mafo-force na tumigil sa pagtatrabaho if their family needs them to, or that's the only way they can survive. And we discovered the 4Ps po, yung Pantawid Pamilya program. We discovered that din po habang nagtatanong po sa mga barangay officials, and we decided na there should be scholarships din po for working students na in accordance or in coordination with the 4Ps.
Nagkaroon ng opportunity si Carmela at ang groupmates niya na mag-present sa Project Citizen Showcase, kung saan invited ang representatives ng barangay, SK councilors at youth-led.
It was intended for the grade 12 students only, and we were the chosen group po to be a guest presenter for Project Citizen. So parang baby PC. Since we were the last presenters po, parang we were intimidated by the fact na mas madami silang alam kaysa sa amin. And we only had 3 months to finish our whole output po. Mas less po yun sa time na nabigay sa mga higher levels. Kaya po, we felt the privilege and the importance of Project Citizen. And overall, we were really happy that kahit guest presenter lang po kami, we still had the opportunity to present this problem to the people and to the government.
May sinabi ba yung mga barangay official na, baka gagawin namin tong project nyo, ganun?
Sana nga po meron, pero wala po akong narinig na ganun. We're open to it naman po. If gusto po nilang i-implement, go lang po kami.
Baka lang po ang alam ng iba is PC is a merely requirement, but it's not. So ang sinasuggest po namin sa students, if they want it, they can submit it to the barangay, and if the barangay wants it, they can adopt it. So para lang po ma-prove natin na ang PC hindi nagtatapos sa papel lang.
Sige. So, meron ka pa bang mga ibang natutunan tungkol sa public policy, sa community engagement, ganyan, mula sa experience na to ng Project Citizen?
Patuloy at patuloy po namin sasabihin na fulfilling ang PC. And it made me wonder din po na who will help these individuals if the government themselves cannot. And if I'm going to say kung ano po yung highlight, I'm gonna say na it's the community visits. Kasi na nakikita nyo po iba po yung feeling na nakikita nyo yung current status nila or yung nararanasan nila sa buhay. Magkaiba po siya when you see it on the news, on the television, sa social media. Ibang-iba po siya when it's actually in real life. Who would imagine like a student gagawa ng policy? And although it was really stressful, madami pong kailangang basahin and pagdaanan na para na siyang thesis sa amin. That's what we felt po. Parang ganito pala yun. Pag nag-grade 12 kami, ganito pala mararanasan. But we could do it pala.
Talaga namang nakaka-amaze na hindi nawawala ng mga kabataan na may pagmamalasakit sa bayan. Hindi lang pagtakbo sa government ang paraan para mag-achieve ng change. Minsan, ang simpleng civic participation ay marami na ring pwedeng marating.
Correct ka dyan, Adriel. Pero bago tayo magtapos, balikan muna natin sina Miss Hazel at Miss Geraldine. Ano kayang realizations nila sa Project Citizen?
Actually, we all know naman that all barangays have different problems, right? I can say that this program, through the students, at some point, make the barangay or the people in the barangay aware of the things or of the problems that maybe they haven't noticed or they haven't paid attention that much. So, not only nakapag-provide ng solutions yung mga bata for some community problems, but also nakita ko din sa mga on the part ng mga bata na parang mas gusto nila ngayon na makialam sa mga community affairs. Siguro nakita nila yung kanilang importance dito sa community. Nakita nila na may magagawa pala sila, na kaya pala nilang ma-influence yung or makausap, makipag-communicate sa mga barangay officials natin. Na hindi lang sila lang yung gagawa ng paraan para ma-resolve yung different problems, na yung mga youth pala pwede ding tumulong para ma-resolve yung problems na yun.
By using the Project Citizen platform or process or program, na idadala ko sila sa kung ano talaga ang totoong nangyayari sa labas. So, applying my lessons on the involvement of the government, that they have the power to control, to do price control in the basic commodities in the community, must be felt by everyone. So sa kanilang murang edad, grade 9 sila noon, naramdaman nila hindi na kung saan may aambag pala sila na sa kanilang pagiging isang mag-aaral, posible pala na maging kabahagi sila sa paggawa ng pulisiya para masolusyonan ang isang problema. Lalong-lalo na kung ito ay ramdam nila or apektado sila.
And that was today's guest episode from Kasama sa Pagbabago, a podcast of Youth Leadership for Democracy, or YouthLED, and a project of the United States Agency for International Development and the Asia Foundation. The show is powered by Puma Podcast and hosted by Macy Joven and Adriel Nisperos. This episode was produced by Geraldine Pascual with editorial assistance by Reynold Ramirez. It was edited by Meko Ampokyo and Anthony Tobias. The version you just heard on Teka Teka was put together with the help of Jill Caro. I'm Bella Perez Rubio. Thanks for listening.